Hi, boys and girls. I'm here talking about the Easter story from the Bible. Last time I told you a story, we opened up egg number 1 and we found the little donkey. Do you remember the story about the donkey? I hope so. Well, we're going to put him back in the egg. Story number 2. This, of course, comes from the New Testament. This is for moms and dads again, in case you want to go read it from your own Bible. It's found in 3 places in the Bible. Matthew 26, 14 to 16. Mark 14, verses 10 and 11. And Luke 22, verses 1 through 6. Yesterday, I told you that there were 12 disciples, and they were just 12 men that hung around with Jesus and were his helpers. And one of them was named Judas. Now, Judas often was not so happy. He was dissatisfied. I don't know what his deal was, but he wasn't always a happy disciple. He knew that the priests and rulers, remember I told you most people were just crazy about Jesus and thought he was just such an awesome person, and they believed that he was God's son that came from heaven. But there was a group of priests and rulers, religious rulers, important men that were jealous of Jesus and thought he couldn't possibly be God's son. And so they wanted to get rid of him. They wanted to arrest him. They wanted to kill him even. This is Jesus, God's son, and they wanted to hurt him and to kill him. But they weren't sure how to do it, because wherever Jesus went, there was always a crowd of people. What is he going to say that's interesting? He told great stories. He loved on the little children. He did a lot of miracles. Remember, I told you that if someone were sick, he could heal lots of people in one day. So wherever Jesus was, usually a crowd of people. Sometimes even Jesus needed a break, and he'd get in a boat and row your boat. They would go out in the middle of the lake. But guess what? Couldn't get away from the people that wanted to be by Jesus. They'd get in their little boats and they'd row, and pretty soon Jesus' boat would be surrounded by other boats. It was hard for him to have some alone time. But Judas knew, because he'd been hanging out with Jesus for almost 3 years now. So he knew, I can find a time and a place when Jesus isn't always around so many people. Because remember, most people loved Jesus and thought he was a great person, would make a great king, and believed that he was God's son. And the priests thought, if we grab him and arrest him when he's around crowds of people, well, they'll turn on us and attack us. And so they were afraid. When can we capture Jesus? So Judas went to them. They did not invite Judas. One day, he just left Jesus and the other 11 disciples, and he met secretly with these priests and rulers and said, I volunteer. I'll help you. I know you're trying to get rid of Jesus. I'll help you. I'll let you know when and where would be the best time, when he's kind of sort of by himself, that you could arrest him. And they said, oh, that sounds like a great idea. I would like that. They would like Judas' help. But Judas said, what are you going to give me for doing that? You got to pay me some money for helping you do this. And so they got together and they were talking and discussing, and they came up with, now they didn't have nickels and dimes and dollars like we do now. Their money was called something different, but often they had chunks of gold, real gold, or silver that they used for money. And these men decided, Judas, we've decided we'll give you 30 pieces of silver. Now, I'm not sure, the Bible doesn't say, but I'm not sure how much money that would be. Maybe that would be like the same as $5,000. I don't know. But it was a lot of money. And Judas was like, ooh, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that for 30 pieces of silver. So they gave him 30 pieces of silver. Now, I know in school, we often count to 100. You could easily count to 30. And that's not just a little bit, right? That's quite a bit. Imagine that many pieces of silver. It's hard for me to believe that one of his disciples that always hung out with Jesus for 3 years would do that and betray his master, his friend. I don't know. I guess Satan just kind of got into his head and made him do this. This is part of the Easter story. The donkey story and now the 30 pieces of silver story is all leading up to the end of the Easter story. That's it for my story. So it's time for the egg. Egg number 2. Listen. What do you think's in here? Oh, I know you're probably guessing. You're probably guessing and you're probably right. Now, these are not real silver. These are just play. They're worth nothing. You couldn't even use them at Walmart. But there's only 1, 2, 3. I guess 30 of them wouldn't fit in the egg. But imagine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 20, and then 21, 25, 30 pieces. That was a lot of money. And Judas took that money and he said, I'll get back to you later. I will find a time when he's kind of alone. I'll tell you the place. I'll tell you how it would be the best way to have him arrested. You just wait. I'll get back to you. That is the end of story number 2 of our resurrection eggs. See you next time.